Hello everyone, Monty here, and today's chat is entitled Stop Chasing the Sweet. So I've done this chat a long time ago. I think I've done it on Instagram maybe a year ago, and I did it on the Weight Watcher site even longer than that, a couple of times. But I think this is a really important chat because I think sugar is like the worst thing we could put into our body. It's known to be inflammatory. It causes, it's really empty calories, and I think it creates a cycle of addiction, both mental and physical addiction within our bodies. So I want to talk about that. And how I got obsessed with the sugar topic was, I guess I was in my early 50s, and I've never had a problem working out up until recently. And it's not because of Corona, it's because I'm working so many hours and I'm so mentally exhausted, I don't feel like going to work out. So I'm only working out like 3 or 4 times a week. For me to be in my ultimate shape, I need to stay within my calories, which I haven't been doing also, and work out 6 days a week. And I never really had a problem for like the last 6 or 7 years working out the 6 days a week until this whole thing with Corona. Between all the stress from Corona and the hours I'm putting in, I'm just not, there. But the one thing that really triggered me when I stopped stopped eating sugar like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, was I heard a doctor say I was struggling with my weight. I was working out 6 days a week. I was like 51, 52, I'm 56 right now, and I was struggling with my weight. And I heard a doctor say on one of these on the internet, there was these like YouTube videos, and he was saying, fat doesn't make you fat, sugar makes you fat. And I don't know, I guess because I was really, really thinking to myself, why am I keep gaining weight? I'm working out 6 days a week. I eat really healthy. I don't eat fried foods. I don't eat bad processed foods. And all of a sudden I was just gaining weight and gaining weight and gaining weight. And then I realized it was the sugar, because I became friends with a woman who owned a frozen yogurt place. And we all think, oh, frozen yogurt, it's healthy. No, it's loaded with sugar. And if you're doing the sugar-free, it's even worse because it has artificial sweeteners. And I did a whole chat on stevia, which is the least bad of artificial sweeteners, but still processed with toxic chemicals. If you're grinding up, watch that chat. If you're grinding up the raw stevia leaf, that's okay, but who's doing that, right? If you're eating stevia, that's packaged from the supermarket, it's either processed with toxic chemicals or contains bad fillers and carrier agents and stuff like that. So go do some research on that. Any artificial sweetener is bad. And so when I heard that doctor say, fat doesn't make you fat, sugar makes you fat, I was like, ding, 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 it's the sugar. I'm eating tons of sugar. I'm friendly with this woman who owns the frozen yogurt restaurant. There was a whole group of friends that would meet there every day. Most of them were retired. If I was working from home, I'd be there every day, but mostly I would just go there on Saturday and Sunday. And I would sometimes have 2 big cups of yogurt. It'd be like 100 grams of sugar. And I was thinking, oh, yogurt, it's healthy. And I wouldn't eat the artificial sweeteners because years ago I gave that up because I read so many articles about how unhealthy that was. So I wanted to show you guys a picture because this was me before getting off sugar and after. So as you can see, this is before. This was about 5 years ago. And then I looked about like this about a year and a half ago. And then I started gaining weight. And I'm only about 10 pounds heavier than this picture. But the last 10 is when all the definition comes out. And people always say, oh, you look so good and blah, blah, blah. And your arms are getting bigger. And some of my friends are giving me compliments. And my face looks thin. But I used to, for 5 years, I would get out of the shower and look at myself looking like this. And I would say, wow, I can't believe at 50, whatever I was at that time, all those years that I look like this. And I want that wow factor back, right? So now I get out of the shower, and I'm like, ugh, I'm getting little love handles, and I'm getting the dad bod almost. And so I believe that you have to eat clean to be that lean, and I do eat that clean, right? But one thing I'm doing, I'm going over my calories right now, and that's the main reason. But when I got off the sugar, not only did I lose all the weight, I saw definition like I never saw in my body before, never. I mean, every ab muscle, every vein, and so it's a combination of things. You have to eat really clean to be that lean, and I've never ate that clean. I never got off sugar totally and really focused on making all my own food. But you also have to, you could eat very, very clean like I am now, but you have to, that last 10 pounds is where all the definition pops out if you eat clean. So you can eat as clean like I do and go over your calories. I keep telling everybody, it's calories in, calories burned. I'm eating super, super clean. I don't eat any bad food, and I just can't take this last 10 pounds off because I'm eating too many calories. And when I lose that last 10, I'll look like that picture again. I know I will. once I get back to 6 days a week too. But I think even at the 4 to 5 days a week, I would still look like that. So I thought I would talk about this a little bit. When I did some research years ago it was really interesting about how when we went through the fat-free craze in this country, like late 80s, early 90s, and what happened is the fat gives flavor. So when they removed the fat, they started putting in extra sugar. Then what happened is everybody realized the sugar was making them fat, so they went to artificial sweeteners. And artificial sweeteners, I'm not going to talk about this in depth today, but not only they're carcinogenic, aspartame, NutraSweet, stevia is processed with toxic chemicals, but they also kill the flora in your stomach. They screw up your microbiome. They make it almost impossible for you to gain weight. You've seen so many people eat artificial sweeteners. I've seen people get off the artificial sweeteners and boom, they start losing weight when they've been stuck. So one of the first couple of things I ask people when they say they're stuck is, and I don't answer questions when people ask me, oh, I'm stuck, can you tell me why? Because I have to talk to somebody for an hour to figure really out why, and I only do that with close friends, But first thing I say, what medication are you on? Make sure you're up on all your medication, you're going to your doctor, you're on the right dose. I'm not saying stop the medication. The next question I'd ask them, are you eating artificial sweeteners? How much sugar are you eating? That'd be the next question, right? These are all the questions I ask. So sugar is really bad, and artificial sweetener can even be making you fatter because it screws up your microbiome and your whole chemistry in your body, okay? But I always talk about how 70% of us are overweight and obese in this country, compared to like a country like Switzerland that I went to twice 2 years ago, and everybody was so thin, and I Googled it, 17%. And why? If you go and you look, 70% in the US, 17% in Switzerland, it's mind-boggling. And I also read another article, you can track the increase on the obesity rate in this country with the fast food industry and also the packaged processed foods. Think about it. Back in the 50s, everybody ate meat and potatoes, and we didn't have the obesity rates and diabetes rates that we have now because they were eating whole natural foods. They may have been eating a lot of fat, but they were eating meat and potatoes and bread, but they weren't having the sugar, the chips, the processed food, all that white fluffy flour, the big portions from the fast foods that we have. And so that's what we've seen, why Americans keep getting fatter, and it kind of coincides with our processed foods and the fast foods. And I talked about the other day that it's not just that we have so much more cancer in this country, and it's not because we just have so much more pollutants, but it's also because we're not eating as much as the whole foods. Any dietitian, you read any article on dietitian, it's like whole foods, whole foods, whole foods, right? And the whole foods and the plants, they have phytonutrients and antioxidants that protect us from all the disease and the pathogens. And we're supposed to be eating 6 to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, which have all those nutrients and antioxidants. And I read someplace that the average American gets 2 a week. Crazy, right? So I also love the expression that I heard a doctor once say, a nutritionist say, 1,000 calories of gummy bears have a different genetic expression on your body than 1,000 calories of broccoli. Love that, right? So you can't just go by calories. I'm always telling you, calories in, calories burned. You could be very skinny and be unhealthy because you're eating under your calories, but you're not getting nutrients. And also, if your muscle mass the higher your muscle mass, the more calories you burn at rest. So you can have 2 people, a skinny person who eats junk, who doesn't eat over their calories a day, who's thin, and a person who eats their calories and has got a lot of muscle to them. And the person with more muscle mass, just doing nothing all day long, is going to burn more calories than the thin person doing nothing, because the higher the muscle. And I know that when I was this ripped and I was 8% body fat, I could eat all day long like a pig, and I couldn't gain an ounce if I wanted to. So let's go back to the chasing the sweet. We got about 6 minutes left. Get really into it, right? So basically, the whole thing is about that we are physically and mentally addicted to sugar. I read so many articles that it lights up the same good neurocenters in the brain that crack cocaine does, right? And other drugs and alcohols. They've done imaging of it. People eating sugar, and it lights up the same neurocenters as that the pleasure area that crack cocaine and other alcohol and other drugs do, right? So it makes us feel good. It gives us a rush, and we get physically addicted. We get the spike in energy when we have the sugar, and the glucose is released into our bloodstream. But remember, whatever we can't burn for energy at that time, that excess glucose gets stored in the liver as glycogen, And then once the liver fills up, it spills out of the liver into the body as adipose tissue, and which is fat, right? So if it goes in real quick and gives us a real spike in energy, we're gonna then crash afterwards too. And then we're gonna want more sugar to get up again. And also, not only are we getting the spike in energy and the drop, the crash, we're also getting it flooded into our system, and it will may give it, because it's going in so fast, it gets converted to fat quicker, and it could make us more fat. Again, not to say that we can't get fat from eating whole natural foods and too many calories, and that whole process would happen, but it's a much slower process. The chances are much less. So what we're like, I feel like we're hamsters on the hamster wheel. I always say, chasing the sweet, chasing the sweet. We're always thinking, we've gotten addicted. We're also physically addicted, and we've changed our taste buds that we don't think anything tastes good unless it's sweet. It's so crazy. And so I say it's really hard to detox, and that's what I did with the sugar. I detoxed a couple of times off of sugar. It's really hard. It's like detoxing from a drug. You get crabby, you're mentally addicted, you're physically addicted. But what happens is after, it could be anywhere from 3, I think, to 10 weeks is what I think, right? This is just my thoughts from myself and my friends. Do you get off of it, and then all of a sudden sugar doesn't taste good anymore. I always tell the story about how, there's many different stories. I'll tell you one that I haven't told you probably. At my stepfather's funeral, I was drinking a cup of coffee. I put it down. Somebody put theirs next to mine. I picked it up. It was black, and they put a ton of sugar. And I was like, oh! And I went to the garbage can. And literally every time I drink something with a lot of sugar, I have to spit it out. It's so vile to me. So again, you can retrain your taste buds. I did a whole chat on that. I'll probably do another chat on that again. I read an article that it takes 21 days for your taste buds to regenerate. And then once that happens, you taste things differently. And guys, I gotta tell you, once you get off sugar, you'll be amazed how food tastes differently. Like, I know green beans will taste so sweet. Lettuce will taste so sweet. A peach can be the most decadent thing in the world. And just everything tastes differently. It's really, really, really amazing that we as a society think everything's gotta be sweet for it to taste good. It always kills me. People say, well, if you don't eat sugar or artificial sweetener, what do you do to make your coffee sweet? I don't. I drink black coffee. I'm drinking espresso right now. I've learned to love it this way. One of the reasons why I had such a problem with Weight Watchers was not just the 0 Point Foods, why I left Weight Watchers. There were 3 reasons. 0 Point Foods, I was getting fat. Also, it was a very toxic environment on Connect. I had 120,000 followers, and I'd get like 15 hateful messages a day. Other people who've been on Weight Watchers know that there's kind of this thing. I won't go into it anymore. And they were saying that sugar was not addictive, which killed me. I just read all these articles when they came out with that about how addictive sugar was. Why would they do that? Because they sell products that have sugar in it, right? And I heard now that they're going to sell products without artificial sweeteners. That's great, but they're still selling products with sugar. So one last thing I'd like to say. So I think sugar is like one of the worst things we can eat, physically, mentally addictive. Really, I feel it made a big difference in my definition once I got off it. And I'm also telling you, I'm eating so many calories right now. I'm so out of control with my eating because I'm so stressed with work and I'm so stressed with Corona that, I would be 50 pounds heavier because my weight used to fluctuate 30 to 50. I had, 4 major gains of 30 to 50 in from 30 to about 45, 50 years old. And every time it was because I was eating too much sugar, too many calories, and I stopped counting calories, right? So I guarantee you that I'm going over my calories right now, but if I wasn't eating clean, I'd be 30 or 50 pounds heavier easily. But I think eating clean has helped me a lot. But really, to get back down to that picture, I've got to dial back the calories, about two more days of working out a week, and I'll be back there. So all I can say, guys, is give it a try. I think you'd be amazed what happens when you stop chasing the sweet mentally and physically, and you rid your diet of all refined sugars. Natural sugar's fine, but not processed natural sugars. Fruit juice is just as bad as raw sugar, and I talked about that. And I think you'll be amazed what happens to your body. All refined sugar, all artificial sweeteners, including stevia, unless you're grinding up the leaf. So again, stop chasing the sweet because it's doing all kinds of bad things to your body and to you mentally. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's chat. We're out of time, and I'll be talking to you tomorrow.